Today, we're reacting to the latest Nintendo Direct. Was it a snooze fest, or are people expecting too much? Plus, Battlefield 6 finally shows off the multiplayer. Could this be a return to form for the shooter? And Microsoft announces Game Pass pulling in billions of dollars. But what does that mean for the future of its console? Stick around for all that and more. Welcome, friends, to Good Playing with You, your weekly gaming news roundup. I'm Dan Whitehill, and as always, I'm joined by my persistent pair of Matts, Matt Lord.
Hey, how's it going?
And Matthew Moulding.
Hey now.
Before we hit the headlines, one quick note. We're 230 subs away from our goal of 1,000, so if you could hit the like and subscribe button, it would really mean a lot. Now, with that out of the way, let's jump into the headlines of the week. This week, we had a Nintendo Direct. Let me recap it for you really quick, and then I want to know what you guys thought. So for those of you who are aware, and it would be understandable, Nintendo showed off a Direct Partner Showcase this Thursday. And, well, it wasn't a mainline Direct, but it was a Partner Direct, so there was no big first-party reveals. But there were a few big games there. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment was their Dynasty Warriors Zelda-style spin-off. Monster Hunter Stories 3 was a return of the turn-based RPG on the 3DS. The Adventures of Elliot, a new HD 2D action RPG from Square Enix. And Octopath Traveler 0, a prequel to the Octopath series. So definitely Square Enix doing some heavy lifting here, because the rest of the show was pretty much everything we'd already seen before. Final Fantasy Tactics, Ivalice Chronicles, Borderlands 4, Madden 26, Apex Legends, Star Wars Outlaws, Persona 3 Reload, Pac-Man World 2 Repack, Plants vs. Zombies Replanted, Yakuza Kiwami 1 and 2 Enhanced. And that's really where the backlash kind of came in online. Fan reaction was pretty rough. Plenty of longtime Nintendo fans were calling it one of the weakest showcase in years. And essentially it was because besides a couple of new RPGs, it was remakes, ports, and enhanced versions of games we've already played. So what'd you guys think of the show? Was it pointless, or did anything stand out for you?
Well, Dan, first of all, don't lie. You were excited about that Plants vs. Zombies drop. I that was the first thing I thought of, and I was like, Dan's got to be hyped to get a little Plants vs. Zombies going on.
I like the shooter. I don't really care for the old school one. I like shooting people in the face.
Okay. This showcase was like, it was a little bit of a yikes for me. I thought it could have been an email, for real. I think we've said that before.
Agreed.
About other showcases in the past, and this one was one of them. You know, they had Cronos, which I'm excited about, but I'm getting a little sus on that game because I think they're like showing that game off a little too much. If you ask me, it's getting me a little nervous. And then, so there was that was cool, but I think they rounded it out well with Elliot, because that game actually looks, I mean, I'm a sucker for the 2D HD, and I liked how it was going to be like an action RPG in that format. And I thought that's something I haven't really seen. I don't think they've explored that enough. So that game I was actually very excited for, but I think that was really the game that was like my standout of the show.
Square Enix was doing the heavy lifting here for Nintendo for sure. They do that 2D HD remake thing recently really, really well, and they had done it with 2 games in this show. And I'm not just saying that because our buddy Chad works there or whatever. It literally was the only like real standout of the show. Moulding, what'd you think?
Oh, man. So let's talk about the good stuff first.
Yeah.
Pause.
Okay, now let's talk about
the good stuff.
Yeah.
No. I'm just joking.
I'm just joking.
That
got me. I'm like, what are we pausing
for? I love Octopath Traveler. So super pumped for that. I think that looks fun. There's a city building element, which I eat up. Love that stuff. So I'm down to clown for that one. I'm a little bit less down to clown for the something of Elliot, the Adventures of Elliot. I mean, what are with these names? I mean, I think that what's the town? They're in Philadelphia.
They're in Philadelphia?
Like, that made some huge memes online yesterday, which were so funny. Take a look at some of the stuff you see on Twitter. Really hilarious. So that was pretty much it. I totally agree. Could have been an email, But I got to talk about some of these games, man, because if any other, now Nintendo is rightfully getting flamed for this, but if Sony or Microsoft would have put any of these games, some of these games in their direct, they would be just eviscerated by people online. A fire making game, really?
Oh,
That
man.
is what you got
That
for
was
me on this
painful.
direct? I could not believe. You want to know what my fire making game was? It was called being 9 years old and keeping my house warm. I don't want to play this game. That looked awful. And they put up like the old version of Plants vs. Zombies. This is a game I played on a PC that was a size of a television set with a CRT tube. Like back in the, like, I cannot believe they can get away with this. All right, so that's my little bit of rant. And then I just have a
Loved it.
couple questions like, why in the world wasn't Apex Legends part of the launch? Like, that game has been out for many, many years at this point. Why not put, why are we putting this in a direct for us to get in a couple months when the game's been like, put that out on launch, girls?
There's no games,
Man.
man. That's all this screams.
Oof.
It's like, we don't got any games. We're gonna have to slow roll some of these games that have been out forever onto this system, because man, it looks like a drought. And I don't want to also, I thought we were done with Hyrule Warriors. Like,
That
didn't
was
we-
out too. Yeah, we
Yeah,
already saw that one.
I'm like, I thought the first one didn't even do well, so I thought they were like gonna abandon that franchise, but I could not believe my eyes when I was like, oh, they're actually doing more of that. I'm like, I just couldn't not. It probably did better than I expect, than I'm even leading on, but that
Yeah,
was
I
just
don't
a
know about
shock. I wanted like, I thought maybe it was gonna be like, at first, I mean, this is obviously totally ludicrous, but Tears of the Kingdom DLC. And then I was like, oh no, this is not that at all.
No,
So
we have
oh,
seen that before. I think at their
Mhm.
last direct, we saw the
Yeah.
Oh, we did,
Hyrule
yeah.
Warriors thing.
yeah.
Because that's what I thought when I saw it that
Oh
first
yeah.
time, was like,
Wow.
oh my gosh, they're doing something here. And then it was that. And I had no interest in
I think I scrubbed it from my memory banks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that Persona is coming to. I mean, I just played some of that on the Xbox, so it's like, again, and that was on Game Pass. It's just like, okay, these are some old games. Like, we need something.
Well, I walked away from that show with 2 points, and feel free to fight me on each one. But look, Nintendo really was the first one to make these directs and go direct to the audience instead of waiting for like these big stage summer showcases and showing things off. And that was great. I'm glad that they did that. However, having a partner showcase is a little bit questionable here, because your partners, at least that you're showing off here, you're using your marketing engine and your power to put out these games that are not your level. And when that happens, you are going to upset some fans if you really don't have anything behind it. Look, we all know they need games, especially on the Switch 2. But this did not do them any favors. And I think what they need to do is take a cue from their friends Sony and Microsoft and then pivot a little bit and get rid of partner directs. Look, they do need to shine a light on indies. They are an important part of the ecosystem and they are fun every once in a while, but they need to be shoehorned into the bigger games so that we're excited about everything. They cannot sustain a show on their own. And this seriously proved it, because who doggy, this was just not a great time. Okay, the second thing I walked away thinking here, and this was not a good thing, gentlemen, and feel free to fight me on this one as well. When we looked at these games, when I saw once again the Borderlands, and I saw, really, it was Star Wars Outlaws that did it for me.
Mm.
Madden a little bit. When we saw these games pop up in there, I'm like, oh, okay, so they're getting games that are on the main consoles, but they don't look as good. I'm telling you, the graphics, they didn't have like the shine and all of the extra like rays and things like that. They looked a little bit flatter. They looked a little bit more dull. Like, it showed, this conference more than any other showed the same, this system's gonna have the same problem that Switch 1 had. It's just the games don't look as good. They can't run those mature games. And I'm better off playing on my Xbox and my PlayStation. And I'm waiting for my Nintendo games for my Switch, because the Switch just really isn't, powerful enough for current games.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because let me tell you, I noticed that with the Cronos
Yes,
gameplay.
that was the other one.
Yeah.
Yes, it was
Yeah,
clear. It was very clear.
I was just like, and we had just watched that whole long
Mm-hmm.
gameplay
Well,
previous.
some of us did. Some of us fell asleep during it. But yeah, some of us watched
Some
it.
of us did, and I immediately know. I was like, oh, there's like another. This is the Switch tax that we're getting. Like, it looks busted compared to what we just watched. Whatever PS5 capture or Xbox or PC. I think it was PC, but it was like there's a downgrade, and I
For
thought we
sure.
were escaping that with this system.
I was hoping we were too, but guess not.
For
It's fine.
anyone who might be new to the show, Lord, let's chat just briefly about the fact that every one of these physical games that we saw is going to be a game key card. How do you feel about that?
That to me is the biggest travesty. I cannot believe anyone would even consider to buy these key cards. You might as well just buy a digital and in the comfort of your own home. Like, they are really trying to get rid of physical in this generation of Switch, and I think they're succeeding. Unfortunately, it's
But
bad luck.
physical on the Switch just makes me nervous in general. With all these stories about people's consoles being bricked or their games locking them out because someone, did something with the license that came on the card, that that doesn't happen on a digital only game, but on these key cards, they can have pirates taking these licenses and locking you out of your own game. Like, yeah, they've really messed up physical, and I think that they think they're going to make more money because of this. I think they want to scare people off. They don't want to invest in the physical. They think that their money is more on the digital, but the sad truth is, I don't trust them enough to go digital personally.
And then just one more thing. I just think, man, if you had the choice, like if you had a PS5 or an Xbox, it's just a no-brainer to buy the games on that system, especially a
For sure.
physical copy. It's just like, if you were a physical collector like I am, like, there's no shot I would buy it on the Switch too. It would be a PS5 disc every day of the week.
The
I
only
agree.
reason I can see myself buying a Switch 2 at this point is if, one, I had to travel a lot and I needed something to play traveling, or two, I don't have another reason. That's the only. Oh no, for Nintendo games, like to actually play a Nintendo game that you can't play anywhere else. But why on earth would anyone choose out of those two things to buy one of these games on this system versus a PlayStation or an Xbox? I just don't know.
I agree. I think this showcase definitely didn't do them any favors. It might have hurt them a little bit more than it helped them, especially when it comes to making the case for a Switch 2. And I was at least expecting the release date for Metroid. I know that there wasn't going to be a big first party push, but come on, we're all sitting here waiting for the Metroid release date. It's crazy. And I agree with your points, Molding, about like whether you're traveling or playing Nintendo games. But I gotta say, with $80 or $70 to $80 for a Nintendo game, that second reason to get a Switch isn't looking as great as it once did. I was all gung ho, and then Donkey Kong came out, and I was like, "Oh, this looks fun." Oh, $70. I just said $70 fun, and that really, man, they're in trouble. Is all I'm saying.
And they didn't show Silk Song. That was another thing. A lot of people were very disappointed about that, since, perfect opportunity to show maybe an indie, and a really exciting indie that everyone's hyped for, and it was cricket. So people were bummed about that.
Yeah, they either need to change their direct system or they need to rename these third party things, because it just not a good look. But I can tell you what a good look is, and that's our friends Instant Riot. Molding, why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, this week's episode, of course, is brought to you by our friends at Instant Riot. Instant Riot is the clothing brand for gamers, pop culture enthusiasts, and everyone in between. And they just happen to be the official partner for Good Playing With You merch. So enter code FIRSTRIOT for 10% off your first order at instantriot.com. And a big thank you to our friends over there.
Yeah, thank you. All right, moving on to the big games that were shown off this week that weren't at the Nintendo Showcase. Let's talk about Battlefield, gentlemen. The multiplayer big reveal happened this past week, and I gotta say, it was pretty damn good looking. Lord, you have a story.
Yep. So Battlefield 6's multiplayer reveal showcase yesterday showed off all sorts of cool stuff about the game. Here's some of the highlights that I kind of mishmashed from the internet. So the classic 4 class System returns. We got Assault, Engineer, Support, and Recon. The game features revamped animations and movement features such as crouch sprint. And let me tell you, crouch sprint, kind of awesome. Like, I love that. Reminds me of like a Gears of War. And so I'm all about that life. Combat dive and a landing roll to reduce fall damage from heights. That's kind of cool. Like a nice little mix of you know, like movement features. That's pretty sweet. So there's also a major focus on dynamic environment destruction, classic to the past series is. There's gonna be 9 maps confirmed for launch, and one of them being Operation Firestorm, which is a fan favorite from Battlefield 3, which is going to be awesome. Core game modes include Conquest, Breakthrough, Rush, and then of course you have your classics: Team Deathmatch, Squad Deathmatch, Domination, King of the Hill. And then there's also a new game mode called Escalation, which builds into a large scale endgame battle. I'm hoping that's going to look like how Battlefield 1, you kind of progress through the level and it just at the end just becomes like a complete chaos, firestorm towards the end there. I'm hoping that's how it works. And then Battlefield Portal returns, which is like a customization and hardcore settings mode that seems kind of cool. Kind of gave me that GTA 6 like mod type of situation that they're doing over there. So the official launch date for the game is October 10th. And then early access, which is private for pre-order people only, is October 7th and 8th. And then the open beta weekends for all the plebs out there like me, weekend 1 is going to be August 9th and 10th. And then weekend 2 is going to be August 14th and
Oh wow, that's
17th.
coming up.
Yeah, that's like right around the corner. That's also like, okay, that's like, they're not, they're putting that out there. There's also a couple of cool things that I did want to point out. There is now with revives, there's the feature that you can drag your comrade like behind cover and then revive them instead of the classic like trying to shock them in the middle of a complete like firestorm. And then on top of that, there's some new destruction features, one of them being this sledgehammer that I was like into because it reminded me of Rainbow Six Siege, where you're
That's
like,
what I thought
yeah,
too.
it was
It's
Rainbow
the part
Six.
where he breaks the floor and then
Yeah.
all his buddies go jumping in. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And I thought that was awesome. I mean, they showed off some cool stuff. I was a little bit like, they had like Limp Bizkit playing behind and I was like, what is this? I don't know. I don't know if
That's
they
what I
needed that.
I was like, wait, did
But
this come back?
I thought it looked great. And then I watched, of course, they had some streamers at this event and they were doing some live streams and, the guns looked great. I thought everything that they showed off looked awesome. And of course, like, I feel like we're finally getting that next gen shooter that we've been waiting for all generation. So I'm very excited about this. What do you guys think? Are we going to be playing the beta together?
I am going to try the beta because I do like the Battlefield series and betas
Me
are free.
too.
So that's always fun. So
You
I'm
have to play it
definitely down for that.
together,
We'll play
Mr.
it
Lone
together.
Wolf.
Yeah.
I can still lone wolf and play with you at the same time. It's
Okay,
fun.
good, because we're playing.
A few of the things that I really do love about these series is, I've said it before, that destruction. Ooh, I love it. It is so fun to be involved in that battle and have buildings fall on top of you, have
Everything
things
was
explode
exploding.
around.
Yeah.
Everything's exploding.
Everything was for the trailer.
That is such an addition that I really enjoy. And I say addition because it's this. I feel like the two main games are Battlefield and Call of Duty. So everything that I think about like, what does this game do better than this other game? And that one has Call of Duty beat for sure. And then the other thing about Battlefield is if you're not necessarily a fantastic aim with regular weapons like I am, I'm a good sniper. You wouldn't know it by my mole eyes. I'm a good sniper, but I'm not very good at the quick reflexes needed to battle. Is you can still contribute to your team by being a medic, by being a supplier. Like that's one thing that this game has that you don't get in a Call of Duty is still feeling like you can contribute to your team. And I really do love being a medic. Someone goes down in front of you, you revive them, you're still helping the team, even if you're not a crack shot like some people. So those are a couple of things that set this game apart that make me pretty excited to play it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely echo all of that. There was so much going on in the trailers. It was actually hard to see like what was realistic and what was like kind of like little bullshit kind of shots and stuff like that. But it looked amazing, and I can't wait to get my hands on. I think I will. I'm going to reserve judgment though. I don't want to get super hyped for it just because it is gorgeous. I love new player options and stuff like that. When Call of Duty did that, I thought that was great. And this one, they seem to be doing some player movement stuff, but we won't really know until we get our hands on a stick. So it's really all about that beta for me, and I definitely think the three of us should squad up.
Dan loves a beta.
Yeah, exactly.
And
You can do it.
they also teased like something else during this reveal, and I'm thinking a lot of people are thinking that's like going to be like maybe a battle royale type of mode or something of that caliber.
Interesting.
So
When do we hear more
Oh,
about
man,
that?
I hope they
that
don't.
was just like something I
Yeah.
hope it's like soon. I mean, it
Yeah.
could be, it probably most likely after the betas. I would think they would like let the multiplayer kind of speak for itself for a little while, and then
Yeah.
hopefully
Watch
go
them
into
be like, and now you can play as Beavis and Butthead.
Oh
I-
my! that would just put out the fire.
That's their big shock.
immediately.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh man, I know it looks great. I really was stoked on what we saw, and yeah, I mean the biggest thing, the guns, I think make such a big difference on like how I view a first person shooter. That's how I felt with Modern Warfare 2019 when those guns were just a thing of beauty, and I think we're gonna have a treat on our hands with this one.
Nice.
Yes, I agree.
Well, time will tell how much money they make on this one. We all know that they have some lofty goals, so we wish them the best. But speaking of companies that are making huge profits, Molding, you have this story.
Yeah, I'm taking this from Blair Marnell at GameSpot. Microsoft says Xbox Game Pass nearly hit $5 billion in revenue. After ordering massive layoffs across the company earlier this month, Microsoft shared its report for investors at the end of its fiscal year. One of the bright spots for Microsoft was Xbox Game Pass, which had nearly $5 billion in annual revenue for the first time. The complete transcript of Microsoft's investor report is online, but it doesn't break down the specifics of Game Pass's milestone in terms of subscribers or even the specific revenue amount that it reached. Last year, Microsoft announced price hikes for Game Pass and introduced Xbox Game Pass Standard, which does not include day one access for the company's biggest games. Following the release of the best-selling PlayStation games in the second quarter of 2025 in the US, Microsoft noted that it was, quote, the top publisher on both Xbox and PlayStation this quarter, which we will talk about in our next story. Microsoft went on to state that Black Ops 6 has drawn 50 million players to date and added that the Minecraft movie led to record active usage and revenue for the already wildly successful game. The report doesn't really dwell on the recent layoffs or the canceled gaming projects like Rare's Everwild, but it does state that Microsoft still has nearly 40 games in development. So, boys, what do you think about those numbers, especially in light of those recent layoffs?
Wow. I mean,
Yeah,
that's a
I
pretty
mean-
big number, right? I mean, 5 billion, that's pretty incredible. And like, so I
It
mean,
hit
that's a
them. It helped them on the Wall Street hit that 4 trillion mark, which only one other company,
yeah.
Nvidia, has done. So, and then their stock dropped off a little bit, so they're a little bit under that. But so definitely Wall Street's in love with them. But Wall Street has no conscience, as we know, and I do think it's a huge douchebag move with the layoffs of 9,000 people, making them hit record numbers.
That's just their recent package of layoffs, too.
Yeah,
That's not the
great
total
point.
number of layoffs.
Great point. Great point. So, I mean, look, it's these people are making money hand over fist, but they're doing it in a dirty way and at the blood of their own employees, and that is not cool. Especially when you have such large layoffs, and then you turn around and talk about how much money you're pulling in.
I was gonna just say.
You know, and what I think is interesting about this is the amount of money. When you say Game Pass is making $5 billion, then that kind of quiets the argument that Game Pass can't sustain itself, because who doggy, that sounds like you could make quite a lot of games for $5 billion. It's an impressive number, but it comes at a high cost.
And forgive my complete ignorance here, but how do we know the distribution financially to the developers for other games that are on Game Pass, or is that kind of
No,
hush
they're
hush?
secret. Hush,
Okay.
hush.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
all
curious
different.
how much I mean, they have to at least give away like 1/5 of that, right? To
I don't
you
know. I
know.
mean, Wu Chang Fallen Feathers just came out on Game Pass.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, it came out last week.
Oh, dang. I didn't know that hit
Yeah,
Game Pass.
I
That's
Yeah.
started
crazy.
playing it, and and a game like that, I wouldn't have probably purchased, but maybe would have purchased when it hit like $20, maybe, possibly. I don't
Oh,
know, because I do love a Soulsborne type game, but yeah, but no, I paid not well. I paid $20 for the month of Game Pass, but I paid nothing for it, and
yeah.
so yeah, I really am curious what these developers get for their
Mhm.
time on Game Pass. We talk about Game Pass a lot. I know I'm a huge fan of it. I think we're all a huge fan of it. It's a great service for us as gamers, but yeah, it sounds sustainable. I think maybe this will just convince Microsoft to cut more corners to
Yeah.
get more profit. And I think they're going to say, "Hey, we're doing pretty good with the amount of employees we have. Let's cut that down a little bit more, and let's see if we can get this up to $6 billion next time." I
Yep.
don't necessarily think it's a good thing for the industry as a whole.
Oh, oof.
I agree. And I think they're being a little bit short sighted too, because that's what dovetails with my next story. And essentially, piggybacking off of what Malding was talking about with the same investor call and Satya Nadella dropping big numbers and bombs and stuff like that. They also announced that Microsoft is dominating Sony's storefront. So all of this $5 billion that they're making, a good portion of that is coming from the PlayStation family. New sales data covering April 6th through to July 5th of 2025 shows that 6 out of the top 10 best-selling games on PlayStation were published by Microsoft. And real quickly, I want to go over the games. Now, first, of course, it wasn't Microsoft, it was Elden Ring Night Ring, so from Bandai Namco. But then number 2, Forza Horizon 5 is sold over 2 million copies on PlayStation alone. Number 3, The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered, blowing up the charts. Then you've got Sony's own MLB The Show 25. And then back to Microsoft with Call of Duty, Black Ops 6. Then 6 is Doom, The Dark Ages. 7 is Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, back to Sony. And then 8 is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, back to Microsoft. 9, Minecraft, of course, Microsoft. And number 10, Assassin's Creed Shadows by little old Ubisoft. So it's
Sneaking in
really,
there.
yeah, exactly, as assassins are tend to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, Microsoft dominated PlayStation's top 10 game sales for the last quarter. So on paper, it looks like a massive win. 6 out of the 10 best-selling games on Sony's platform were Microsoft published, but here's where it gets murky. They're clearly making money by going multi-platform, but Microsoft's own console sales dropped 25% over the same period. So sure, they're winning on PlayStation, but what is the cost? It raises a big question: is Microsoft slowly sacrificing the Xbox hardware business to become a third-party content giant? It's a bold strategy and it's paying off in the short term, but long term, that console identity might be fading. So, gentlemen, what do you think of this? Is this good? Is this bad? What are we looking at here? Should Microsoft be so excited about this?
I mean, don't quit your day job, Microsoft, because we need those consoles. And to me, this is a honeymoon phase. PlayStation players are excited to get their hands on these Xbox games that have been locked away for so long. They're finally able to play a game like Forza on the PS5, and they've been hankering for ages. So like, it makes sense that these games are selling like they are, and I don't think this is going to last. Unfortunately, I would be really surprised. Maybe the big franchises that do end up coming to PlayStation will sell, but I don't think it's something that can continue forever.
Molding?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree slightly, and that we are looking at the second to last hardware generation for Xbox. We're going to get one more, and then it's done, and it will become a game publisher and game developer instead. And the reason I think that is you can't ignore that install base that PlayStation has. They have an iron grip on our kids. They have an iron grip on our kids. If a family really of modest means, they're not like us where we can afford to buy multiple consoles, play multiple games. Usually they can afford to buy one, and PlayStation just has they've won the console war. They won, and Microsoft is adapting. And their adaptation is, hey, we're going to start selling our stuff over there, and we are just going to sunset our console. Like I said, we're going to get one more, and then that's it for them.
I think you could be onto something here, but it could also be to Xbox's detriment, because when Microsoft is talking about on the numbers, they really talked also in the whole speech that he gave was something about like 5 million or so user or hours of streaming. I don't have the exact number here, but they were talking about how streaming their games is becoming more widely adopted, and it was clear what was happening here, that they are trying to get as many other entry points into Game Pass that they can. They want you to be playing on PC. They've got it cheaper there. They're like giving you discounts and stuff like that. They're come play on PC.
Come
They
play
want
on
you to
Fire
play.
Stick.
They want you to play on Fire Stick. They want you to play on the Samsung with their native app. They really want this streaming thing to take off sooner rather than later. If streaming takes off, man, they could be kind of set. But I'm not so confident with that, especially with the hardcore gamers that they're trying to cater here. We're not going to jump to streaming because we know it's inferior to an actual system itself. And that's where the trouble comes in here. If their next Xbox doesn't take off, they lose that $5 billion they were just talking about, because they're going to lose their Game Pass subscribers. The majority of them have to be on their Xbox console. In fact, that's the only reason I would ever entertain getting a next-gen console for Xbox, is because the offering of the Game Pass is so good that one incentive would be enough to probably make me buy the next Xbox. But if other people don't feel the same as I am, and I'm guessing they probably won't, Microsoft is going to shoot themselves in the foot if they can't sell the next generation Xbox without exclusive hardware. Their sales are going to tank, and they're going to become software only. But Game Pass is going to tank too, and that's what's really going to hurt them.
Let's hope they don't pivot to all streaming. That would be just.
They're going to try. I think eventually they're going to try.
It makes sense. I mean, I completely agree with everything you just said. They are trying to find those entry points, and I could see them just going that route, and that would really, I mean, that would be the end for me in the Xbox run. I wouldn't, I don't go that streaming route. No.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed.
Crazy.
I don't know. I think you might be done already. I haven't seen old Crunchy Cortex on my friends list pop up recently. You might be done already.
It's been a little bit.
Crunchy, where you been?
Crunchy Cortex has been kind of hanging out. I've been on the PS5 way more with Death Stranding, of course. So it makes perfect sense.
Speaking of big companies shaking things up, we've got Epic with Fortnite introducing a new mode. Lord, you got this story for us.
Yeah, so Fortnite OG gets new version without skill-based matchmaking or bots. This is from GameSpot's Phil Owen. While Fortnite OG has a consistently solid player population for months, the mode has been overshadowed by both Reload and Blitz. And so it's only to be expected that Epic would try some new stuff to shake things up. This past weekend's Live Rocket event has seemingly ushered in the first of these changes, which could be taking the island in a new direction with the mysterious red rifts. And with this latest patch, OG got a retro matchmaking mode with no skill-based matchmaking and no bots. While the removal of skill-based matchmaking will be celebrated by some, the net effect of its removal is that people who just started playing Fortnite could be matched against pro players, which is the reason pro players.
That.
Oh, don't worry, we're getting to it.
Okay.
Which is the reason pro gamers often clamor to get rid of skill-based matchmaking. This dynamic tends to be less thrilling for normal players, though, who have a better time when they're not constantly being matched with players who have a much higher skill level than they do. Okay, I'm just going to say, I love this. I love this.
I knew you were going to though. I saw this article and I was like, "Oh man, Lord, here he goes!" Because all the time you're chirp. Oh, the bots. Oh, there are too many bots. Don't you think we touch? Have they increased the bots? You are like, you could have your own podcast called Bot Talk. Seriously, you are all bot talk all the time. So here you go, buddy. You got it. I want to know your reaction to this because you are the one of the person asking for this. You've been ape shit for it forever. So go.
I love it. This should be the standard for Fortnite across all of Fortnite. Like F bots, F skill-based matchmaking. This is just a crazy thing that we're in this skill-based matchmaking situation that we're in, and the bots are killing the game.
Oh my god!
And skill-based matchmaking,
you couldn't be more wrong. You couldn't be more wrong.
Bots are killing. Like, I love we're having actual players to play against Genius, and playing against skill-based with no skill-based matchmaking, you could also go up against somebody who's not as good as you. Think about that for a second too. You could be in a lobby that you are the best in.
Yeah, that's what you think. You're going to get your ass eaten alive. This is going to be like piranhas. And little piranhas are going to be all over you because you're going to load in and get sniped by a 12-year-old and you're going to be super pumped for like 5 minutes. I'm telling you, skill-based matchmaking is perfect for people like me who are weekend warriors who just want to go in, get a win here and there and have a good time. And bots function as loot llama, so it gets me more loot and I'm perfectly happy with it. But then you're the chip. You know, I want a live stream from you. That's what I want. I want a live stream from you playing this mode.
That sounds fantastic. I think, you know what? If they got skill-based matchmaking actually correct and working properly, and you're not matched up against actual sweats who aren't in your lobby, then I could say skill-based matchmaking it might work, but it's never that way. You're always still getting matched up against sweats. Like, so I'm just ready for it to be done. Like, and I mean, if it's build, then we might have a little bit of a problem because I'm kind of trash at build, but I think it's great. I love that. I think more games should do this. Call of Duty should do this next. Please. Would love to see it. And I'll stream it.
I'm ready. Did this announce when this is coming out? Because I'm dying for you to
try it out. I think it dropped like a couple days ago or so. So on like the
all right, brother.
29th. So I think
nut up or shut up. Go for it.
I love it. I knew I was gonna get Dan all fired up over that skill-based matchmaking talk. I was like, here we go, baby. I mean, it's great. I think we'll see what happens. I'll test it out.
I just have one thing to say. I think you guys need to find better games to play. I think that's your main problem is you're playing Fortnite at grown men. No, yes. I think you need to, you're like, ooh, when's the next Christina Carpenter or whatever her name is skin coming out so I can shoot guys in lingerie? No, you need to play better games.
Amen. Well,
you're not
Dan,
wrong.
Are you still playing pretty frequently?
Yeah, totally. And so, Maulding, you're not wrong though, because I just play when there's like nothing else new and out there to play. This is my fallback game, so I won't
play that fallback game quite a bit, if you ask me.
Yeah,
I see you on there.
That speaks to the games that are coming out.
I know,
that's
right?
A good point
not
too.
A lot, not a lot pulling my attention right now, so I'll just go back to the old tried and true Fortnite, get my dub, and it's like there's something about like, oh man, I gotta get this season's umbrella. You know what I mean? Like they've kind of got me there, and
oh my god,
like
well, marks.
Yeah, I know. Whales, gaping whales.
That's the rumor on the streets for sure. Another rumor on the streets, though, is Sony suing Tencent over a Horizon Zero Dawn clone. Maulding, you had this story.
Absolutely. So Sony suing Tencent over upcoming game it calls a slavish clone of Horizon Zero Dawn. Sony filed a lawsuit last week against Tencent regarding its upcoming game, Light of Motrium, a game that was announced back in late 2024 and looked a lot like Horizon Zero Dawn. In the lawsuit, which was filed in California federal court on July 25th, Sony lawyers called the game a slavish clone of its popular Horizon post-apocalyptic open-world video game franchise and alleged it copies elements directly from the series. Sony claims Light of Motrium could cause confusion among gamers looking to buy a Horizon game. Reuters reports that in Sony's lawsuit, the company claims that it declined an offer from Tencent to collaborate on a new entry in the franchise. Then, later in that same year, Tencent announced Light of Motrium, which Sony alleges is copying gameplay, story, and artistic elements featured in the Horizon series. Sony also quoted at least one journalist who called it Horizon Zero Originality, and that was a pretty good burn. Sony is asking the court in California for an unspecified amount of money and an order blocking Tencent from violating its IP rights. Even based on the artwork, I think you can pretty much tell that Sony has a solid case. But boys, what do you think?
Sony's winning this one. I saw the pics. That was marathon level of plagiarism, in my opinion. I think that Sony's got this one in the bag. I don't know. I mean, do they release this game is the question. I don't think they released the game.
I don't know how they could. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Obviously, I'm not a copyright attorney, and I don't know how obvious you have to be. But I don't. That the logo for the game is like the same text looking thing. It has a woman with red hair with a bow. It has robot dinosaurs. Come on, man.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going for.
It's crazy. It's wild. It's so close. It is wild. But I think that what we're going to see here is a quick reskin. Tencent's going to come back, and suddenly it's going to be a guy with a gun, and they're going to be dinosaurs, and they won't be robots anymore. They'll be brain controlled with these little helmets and stuff. I think that's where, this game is obviously far enough along that it, is probably pretty close. We saw the trailer at the last showcase, and we were all kind of like, whoa. So this lawsuit's no huge surprise. It's now, what does Tencent do? Because they're going to have spent a lot of money. They're going to be in the hole for quite a bit. They got to recoup that cost and potentially try and avoid a lawsuit. And so I don't know that this gets settled. I don't know that Sony gets any money. I think Tencent tries to swerve and does a reskin.
Interesting. That's a good take, I think.
So we'll see.
Or it's been
here comes a conspiracy theory.
Here comes the crazy.
Jesus Christ comes down, touches it,
and revamps the game. Okay, but all of it was one big vertical slice, and it was never fully developed. And they got Sonic the Hedgehog levels of hype, and they've always had like, the guy with the gun with the dinosaurs ready to go. They're going to release that game, and then the hype will be like, oh my, this is the game Sony sued, and then they'll people go through. I feel like these are seriously complex PR moves that I think maybe we're seeing unfold here, because in my opinion, it's so blatant, it's crazy to even try it. And
I agree. Yeah.
There's got to be some ulterior motive, right? Because it is so brazen.
Right. I'm like, what is it? Could it have been that? Who knows? Maybe not, but I like the story.
I like the story too, but it's a little cockamamie because it hasn't given enough hype that Moulding can pronounce the name in one go. And I can't point too many fingers because I can't point too many fingers because I probably can't either. And in fact, I was thinking Motrin, isn't that a knockoff of Tylenol? What do you I didn't know.
I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. So
But this game does look like money, so something has to happen. What? That is the question. Well, that pretty much wraps up everything we have for this week. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're listening on a podcast, please tell 230 friends. And on behalf of Matthew Moulding, Matt Lord, and myself, Dan Whitehill, thanks for joining us. And as always, good playing with you.
Good playing with you.
Good playing with you.